He is a master's in Sanskrit from the Karnataka University, a doctorate from the Potti Sriramulu University, Hyderabad, for the thesis Pragmatic Critique on Smarta and Shrauta Rituals. He has been associated with the Dattapitham for the past 28 years in various capacities. He has edited a number of journals. Currently, he is heading the academic and research publication wing of SVAMI as director. SVAMI is the SGS, Sri Ganapati Sachidananda Vedanidhi Academy and Masters Institute. He'll be delivering his lecture on Vedanga Vyakarana, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Vamshi Krishna Khanapati.
सभायै नमः। ओं नमः पाणिनि कात्यायन पतंजलिभ्यः शब्दविद्या संप्रदायकर्तृभ्यः परमर्षिभ्यः मुनिभ्यो गुरुभ्यः जय गुरुदत्त। At the outset, I offer my obeisance and respects to all the distinguished audience gathered for this event, and I'm really enthused by the response to some of the presentations here on the podium. Today I have been asked to speak on the subject Vyakarana Vedanga. I need not give the preliminary introduction to Veda or Vedanga, as we are all aware. If Vedas are conceived as an embodiment, then the place of Vyakarana would be mouth. Mukham Vyakaranam Proktam. We are all very much aware of the fact that mouth is the one important organ in the body which gives nourishment to the entire body. And it is also equally important to note that mouth is the key point of our speech. So Vyakarana has twin advantages and twin aspects of significance. With this to say, let us see what Vyakarana stands for. Vyakurute. Vyang iti upasarga dvajapurvaka डुक्री करणे धातोः करणे ल्युटि प्रत्यये सति व्याकरणम् इति शब्दः निष्पद्यते. Vi is the upasarga, ang is the upasarga. Vi means visheshatah or vaividhyena. Ang means asamantat, in entirety. Kurute. It is making a language stand on its own. That is Vyakarana. The system which makes a language, which stands for it. In other words, the entire language stands on its framework, and it should have the extendability, scalability, and support the entire architecture. That word is called Vyakarana. That system is called Vyakarana. Because in this IT age, we always talk of scalability and expandability. Vyakarana is also the Matrika. Matrika is, it's a sort of mother. What was the precedence of Vyakarana and what are its systems and how it unifies the entire Vedic culture? This is one important aspect to be considered by us. As we have heard some of the Rigvedic chants, there are many words which are sometimes confounding to a normal Sanskrit student. Patati didyunnaryasya bahuvor mate. Patati is the normal word. Patle patane, patati. But it says patati. And similar words are differently pronounced, differently derived. The etymology might be the same, but what are the root verbs that are to be considered? That is the point where Vyakarana steps in. As we have been observing, there are several wars just based on the language. As recently as in Georgia, say in this decade only, there was a huge conflict between the Russian immigrants from the neighboring Belarus region and the native Georgian population. This is in the erstwhile Soviet Union. Why I am quoting this is there have been many language wars even in our own Karnataka state as well as Tamil Nadu. When you say Tamil or Kannada, there is some animosity. But the typicality of Georgian language as I gather is it functions on a string of consonants, hal, vyanjanas, without a vowel which binds them. Without a h, there is a string of consonants which makes any normal sane person who is unexposed to that language, he will just squirm in his seat and he will scratch his head. How to pronounce this? When we look at many languages in the Eastern European, Polish, etc., we get such a feel that it's virtually impossible for anyone to pronounce this. So the language framework should be scientific, methodical. In the absence of that, what happened? The Russian immigrants have refused to study that language in the school. That was the root cause of the entire malaise. Then the tensions have actually they were scaled up and there was a full-fledged war. Finally, the Russian immigrants with the backing of mighty Russian Federation, they had won the reprieve and they were on their own. This is a recent example. How to unify the entire language structure and at least identify the uniqueness in each of them and what is the binding factor, that would be a very good example for us to consider at this point. As I have told you, there are 3 or 4 systems. Normally the entire Vyakarana goes by the notion that Lakshya is first followed by Lakshana. This is the common belief. Anywhere, if you ask us which came first, whether the language came first or its grammar came first, if we say that, people start talking in their own languages or with their own native tongue. After some time, to find the common ground between different languages or different wordings or dialects and the usages, the seniors of that clan or of that generation, they sit together and they write some sort of common rules. These rules are followed by exceptions. And when the rules and exceptions are becoming too problematic, then there is a system called Pratipada Grahana. That is the normal routine followed by the grammatical systems all over. In spite of its weaknesses and deficiencies, if English is ruling the entire world, what is the reason? That also we should consider. Because it has scalability and adjustability. It can accommodate any number of words, any number of words, n number of words. That is the reason everyone takes liberty in English. You need not be surprised to find some Sanskrit words or some Telugu words or Hindi words in the next edition of Oxford Dictionary or Webster's. We need not be surprised. But why Samskrita seems to be lagging behind? That is also one point to be considered. Traditionally, we have the belief and conviction that Samskrita is Deva Bhasha, which cannot be altered, which should not be tampered with, and you should always follow the same systems. Any presentation to modify the presentation, I don't mean the actual tampering or tinkering with this structure, but a presentation to make it more simplifying factor would always be frowned upon by traditional scholars. That may also include me also. That's a different case. But the fact that the Vyakarana is conceived on such a scale that it is ultra flexible, it can be adjusted to accommodate any number of nouns, any number of verbs. With the help of two spirited grammarians, you find any word which is pronounced with these 53 or 40, 46 or 64 syllables, we can certainly derive that form. In our student days, we used to undertake this exercise. One person used to get, okay, please derive the word Mary. Please derive the word Allah. Or what about Simpson? What about Kamal Hassan? Similar words which are totally unconnected with this Vedic culture, that's what we agree. We used to find answers to each of them. I will just give one more, which is more recent or relevant to the audience. What is the word pujari? We always heard this. We always heard this word. If you ask anyone who is a pujari, normally any Sanskrit scholar will say, pujayaha arihi pujarihi. What does this mean? Enemy of the puja is called pujari. Is it not? But with the right mindset and with a supporting intention, I can put it the other way. Puja eva raihi yaske saha. Raihi is sampat, wealth. One who considers the puja as his wealth, he is called pujarihi. Puja eva raihi yaske saha pujarihi. How does it happen? Rai, echa ik hrasva deshe, rai becomes ik. That means hrasva. Then it will, as you have upaguhu. Similarly, that is echek hrasva. The same sutra will prod you to think that pujarihi is the one who considers puja as his wealth. That is the level of interpretations that can be made. As I said, how do you call Kamal? There is no such word. Kamalaha, Kamalaha, athava Kamale, Kamale iti achakshanaha will become, with the kvip suffix, pratyaja, it will become Kamal. Similarly, we used to undertake similar exercises. Prashan. How does it happen? Shamadhatuhu becomes Sham, Shan with the Upadha Dirgha. Similarly, that extendability and flexibility is provided in the structure of Vyakarana. That is the reason why it has stood the test of time, that I would like to emphasize here. Next comes, how is Vyakarana functional? I did not elaborate more on this aspect because most of you are aware of the structure of Vyakarana. It is Prakriti Pratyaja Vibhaga. This Prakriti Pratyaja Vibhaga is not unique to Vyakarana. Those traditionalists, including me, who believe that Vyakarana is the Matruka for the entire language structure in the entire world, they don't have second thoughts. Even for others, Samskrita provides the impetus to think on these Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga. What is the root verb? Everyone, you ask any grammarian, first he will ask, what is the root verb? Sarvan dhatu jamaha shakatasya tokaha. Tokaha is the santanam, as the progeny. The progeny of Acharya Shakata, he is none other than Shakatayana, the great grammarian. Shakatayana has averred that everything is based on the dhatu structure, the root verb. Suppose there is a conflict between two groups. Each of them thinks that his language is totally different from the others. How can you unify them? That is one question. The second one is, suppose if there are two Vedic scholars who think that their shakha or their system is superior than the others. How can you identify them? Vyakarana provides a basis for this. First, you identify the root dhatu. Then, what are the suffixes? Let me give one example about Kannada, Telugu, Samskrita. You call translation as Anuvada. In Kannada, you call it Anuvadisu. In Telugu, you call it Anuvadinsu. Anu is the upasarga. Vadavyaktajam vachi is the root verb. Insu, isu. These are the two verbs that are little different than Samskrita. Anuvada. Similarly, you find any number of words which stand on this platform. Hence, whenever there is a conflict, let us try to identify the prakriti, the root verb. Conflict necessarily does not mean physical, it can be verbal also, or differences in the thought process also. The best thing what we should do is, what is the root verb in it? Actually, there is a philosophical meaning also which always I attribute. Prakriti and Pratyaja constitute a verb. Prakriti is the root verb. With Krutadhita Samasascha, Krut Pratyaja or Tadhita Pratyaja, it becomes a Subanta. And if you add Krut Pratyaja, when you add, it will become a Subanta. Then when you add Tadhita Pratyajas, it will become, or other vrittis, it will become another Subanta. So, Subanta will have many derivatives of Subantas. Similarly, we have many derivatives of one dhatu. Let me give one example of Samvada, which is the title of our this thing. Samvada. Sam is the upasarga, Vadavyaktajam vachi. Then you have the Ghai Pratyaja, then it will become Samvada. I am not, since to paucity of timing, I am not explaining the entire structure. I will just give a brief outline. What is Vadana? Uchyate atra. Either you can have it as Lyut Pratyaja, Karanel Lyut, or Uchyate anena. Karanel Lyut or Adhikaranel Lyut, it will become Samvadana. Samvada, Samvadana. Then you have many other suffixes as Samvadi, Samvadasya. You have many Supratyaja you can add, or you can add any other Tadhita Pratyajas. We will have a number of other derivatives. This is one way of looking at the unifying factor in each language and each word. As I have previously quoted, Patati, Asati, Chandasya Datau, there is one sutra. Because there are many number of Veda Shakhas. The essence of the mantra will remain the same, which we should always remember. Yat purusham vyadadhu katidhavya kalpajan mukhanke basyakau bahu ka vurupada vuchyete is Gajurveda. Yat purusham vyadadhu katidhavya kalpajan mukhanke basyakau bahu ka urupada uchyete. This is Rigveda. Let us examine the differences between the two. Yat purusham vyadadhu is Yajurveda. Yat purusham vyadadhu. Why it has happened? Yadvritti is one important factor in the entire Vedic literature. Wherever there is a Yadvritti, the Tinga Tingaha Sutra, which gives the Sarvanudatta, will not be applicable. Then it will be either Antodatta or Adyudatta. Then Adadhuhu. It has become like this. Katidhavya kalpajan mukhanke basyakau bahu ka vuru pada vuchyete ka vuru kau uru ka vuru. This is the Echo Yavayavaha Sutra, Yantamanta Desha Sandhi we call it, or Ajavadesha Sandhi. But in Rigveda what happens? Ka uru pada a uchyete. Kau uru padau uchyete. What has, how did it become? Kau uru has become ka uru. In Yajurveda it is ka vuru. Why does it happen? Please come back to the Vyakarana part of it. There is a sutra called Lopa Shakalyaskya. Vyor Lahu Pragattataraha Shakataginasya. See, the Vyakarana structure has made it possible that you can attribute one sutra according to the context. In Rigveda, you have got other Ajavadesha Sandhi sthalas, there are there. But accordingly, wherever you have such reference, you should apply this. In Vyakarana, we have got another system called the Matam. Matam is the opinion. In the opinion of Shakatayana, it will happen. In the opinion of Shakalya, it will vanish. Ka Uru means it has vanished. When your Laghupragitatraha, it has become Ka Vuru. Similarly, 3 or 4 systems are adopted. And what is the difference? Now, it is also relevant to point out the system of Pratishakhya at this juncture. Pratishakhya is the text relevant to the particular Vedic branch. It is not all pervasive. Pratishakham. Shakham, shakham, pratishakham, pratishakham bhavam, pratishakyam. So, the Vyakarana system in general deals with all the Veda shakhas, including the Swara systems. If there are any specific words which are instances which are not applicable, then you should always go to the Pratishakhya. Pratishakhya, more or less, it deals on the system of Pratipada Grahana. You have got something called Alopa Lopa. You all know the first stanza of Rudradhyaya. Namaste Rudra Manyave Utota Ishave Namaha Namaste Astu Dhanvane. When you go to any Mahalakshmi Stotra, it will say Namaste Astu Mahamaye. Why has it become Namaste Astu is not joined, it is separate. It is maintaining its separation. Why is it? That is the Alopa system. But if you ask any grammarian, how do you support Namaste Astu? There is a Prakriti Bhava, there is no Sandhi. How do you support it? He will not have an answer for it. For that, you have to approach the Lakshana Shastrajna or the Pratishakhya scholar who will answer it. In Yajurveda, it is Astva Krunot, Angirop Suyo Aska Bhagat, Ashishretange Egnaya. That is the Pratishakhya Sutra. Astu Akrunot. When these are preceded by Ekara or Okara, they are not joining. So this is the typicality of Pratishakhya, which always, see, Purvarupa Sandhi, which makes Namaste Astu, is not applicable here. Why? Because Astu Akrunot are the specific words which have been Ashishret, Ange, Agniga, Ange. These are the words which are Pratipada Grahana. They have been specifically mentioned that these words will not attract the normal sutra. Sometimes it will happen like this. There is a general rule, say you should join. Then there is a Apavada which says no, you should not join. Then there will be another exception which will say you can join. Then there is a special exception to that exception itself which will make it impossible. And there will be the fifth one factor which says no, at this juncture in Viloma you have to join it. I will give one example to you. Anugavo nubhagah kanina anuvrata sastava sakhyami yuhu anudeva mamire viryam anugavaha gavonu anubhagaha. This is the normal word. Lupkite tvakara ekara okara purvaha is the general context which says akara will get dissolved or it will not be there. Lopa adarshanam lopaha. Then they say Dhatara Tirupavajapeka Justashyana Yaksha, it's a list. In this Vihavya mantras, you will not get joined. What happened? Gavaha Anu has not joined. Okay. Then I have got another sutra, this is third level. It says Yavanaha Parasvara Pareshu. Yavanaha, if the akara is followed by Yavanaha, it will get joined. And there is another exception which is called Swara Pareshu. Only when the Ach is Para, it is followed, then only you will get. Then what will happen? Typically, I will give this instance. Anuga Voga Vo Anvanugavaha. This is the Vilopa Patha. Gavo Anvanuga Voga Vonu. It is the same Anu word which is get joining in the Vilopa Patha, whereas in the Prakriti it is not joined. So, the rules, exceptions. This is the structure followed by Vyakarana. But the Pratipada Patha of taking each word is more prevalent in the Pratishakya system. Now, how is the Vyakarana structured? And what is the speciality of the current system that we are all following, the Pandiniya system? This is another aspect. As we all know that there were 9 systems of Vyakarana, Aindra, Chandra, Kashakurtsna, etc., etc. Apishali, Shakhayana. Yes. And how the earlier system was that you list the entire words, verbatim, all the words. Suppose if you want to know the Rama Shabda, instead of giving it 7 Supratyajas and 21 Pratyajas, you will list out all the Rama Shabda, you will have 21 derivatives. Krishna Shabda, you will have 21. If it is Krishna Mukunda, then you will have Krishna Mukunda Shabda, you will have these many derivatives. So what will happen? Divya Varasha Shatam Upadesham Krutvapi Nantam Jagama. Bruhaspati Acharya has given the entire list of all the verbs that are possible to be derived from the root verbs. Even after 100 years of Divya Varshas, the list could not be completed. That is the exhaustiveness of the language. Then, with less than 4,500 sutras, Panini has derived a system that is called Ashtadhyayi. With these many systems, we don't claim, no Vyakarana grammarian dare to claim that the Paninian system is perfect. No one will claim. In fact, they have got a master escape clause. Akrutavyuha Paniniyaha Nibittam Vinashanubham Drashtva Tat Prajuktam Karyam Na Kurvanti. If you think that the process entire for which you are struggling, it is destroying the root cause, then they will not do it. They will just leave it out. Okay, don't worry about it. You leave this clause. Akrutavyuha Paniniyaha. But one blemish will never deter or never denigrate the structure. The structure is so great and so huge. Even if there are some ekopi doshaha gunasannipate nimajjiti indoha kiraneshvavankaha. If there are even 1 or 2 blemishes, you need not worry about them. You please look at the beauty of the entire structure, how it is supporting the entire language system in the entire universe. That is the importance of Pandiniya Vyakarana system. And finally, how the Aindra Vyakarana was derived. For that also, you all aware of this verse from the Saubhika Brahmana. When there was a conversation between Devatas and Indra has demanded something else. I want a specific combination of Somarasa with me and Vayu. Then the deities or the devatas have requested, please structure the language. He has agreed. Tabindra madhyato vakramya vyakarot tasmadiyam vyakruta vagudyate tasmaat sakrutindraya madhyato gruhyate dvirvaja vedvauhi savara vavrunita. At the outset, it seems that it's a legend or it's a story. But let us consider what is Indra and what is Vayu. That is very, very much central to the theme of this presentation. What is Indra? Normally we say he is the lord of 3 universes, or Trilokyadhipati, or Suradhipati. We will have that. But in my thesis I had deliberately broached upon this subject. Who is Indra? Idi Paramaishwarya is the dhatu. Rak Pratyaja, it will become Iditonam dhatoha. Indra is the word derived. But what exactly is Indra? Paramaishwarya means the wealth of paramountcy, which can be never surpassed. Who can that be? Indra, if Indra is limited to just one loka or one clan or just one period, he cannot be Paramaishwaryavan. Then who is Indra? Indra is none other than the Atman, the Paramatman. How can I say that? There are innumerable instances in Yajurveda which prove this point. Indra is not just, and Indro Majabhe Pururupa Iyate. Indra is not the Indra whom you think of Ahalya Shapa Vimochana or Gautama Katha. Indra is the Paramatman. See, you have got several systems. You are the Lord, will say. Oh, you are all important on this stage. If I am important, for this context, it's all contextual only. But Indra essentially here means it is none other than the Atman. And who is Vayu? Atma buddhya sametarthat mano yunkte vivakshaja manah kajagni mahanti saprayaragati marutam marutas torasicharan mandram janagati swaram This is the genesis of the a word getting derived. How do you utter a word? How do you pronounce it? And why should you deploy such word? What happens first? Panini Maharshi has beautifully given us the listed out the anukrama. Atma buddhya sametya arthat mano yungte vivakshaya or arthan manaha yungte vivakshaya. The Atman, Pratyagatma, it will deploy the mind to deploy such a word. It will depute the mind to deploy such a word to bring out this sort of meaning. That is the subtleness. Sab prayaragati marutam. Then, in turn, the mind, the manas, instigates the prana vayu which is inside us. The prana vayu is always the one which comes out. Normally, hridhi pranaha, gudepanaha, this is the normal thing, what we think. But Yajurveda specifically says, apana is the one which is filling up your body. Apana is the vayu which is filling up your body. That is why when they say, when you take the dakshina, what you should be doing? Dakshinam pratigrahishyam saptadasha krutva anyat. Whenever you take something from someone else as dakshina, as a gift, you should be doing the pranayama 17 times. Saptadasha krutva apanyat. Atmana bheva samindhe. When you take something from anyone, your hand is always down. It is on the downside. And you are losing some of your virtues and some of your vigor in this process of exchange. Then how do you replenish it? The replenishment will be possible only by saptadasha krutvaha pranayama, the 17 times of pranayama. Then he says apanyat means you have to replenish yourself. How do you replenish it? The oxygen or the pranavayu is replenished only by 17 times of pranayama. So the pranavayu which is inside, it gets out. When it gets out of the body, it is called the pranavayu. That is why Yajurveda always says, Saptavishir Shanya Prana. There are 7 points out of which the vayu can get out, the air can get out of your body. What are the Saptashir Shanyas? Mouth, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 2 eyes. These are the 7 Sapta Pranaha. These are Sapta Pranasthanas. That does not mean that, but you can only inhale through the mouth or the nostrils. Only the 3 sthana you can get in. But there are 7 points out of which the vayu can go out. So let us come back to the main subject. Indra Vayu. The Indra and Vayu also always have to be together. That is why the Indra, Atma has requested the deities. Okay, hereafter I will handle the Vayu. Mano yunkte vivakshaya. Manah kayagni mahanti. The manas instigates the Vayu. And which in turn comes out of the stomach first, hridisthana, kanthasthana. And you have got Bahya Prayatna and Abhyantara Prayatna. These are also enumerated in the Siksha Shastra as well as Vyakarana. Abhyantara Prayatna means inner. Bahya Prayatna is outer. Exactly, people get confused, tend to confuse. What is Bahya Prayatna? Outside the mouth there is no effort at all. How can you make an effort? Once the wind comes out, it is totally out of your control. Then what is Bahya Prayatna? Bahya Prayatna should not be construed as the one external to the mouth or face. Bahya Prayatna is something, because the Abhyat, first for that, if you say it is external, then you should actually define what is internal. When you say it is internal, from the tips of our lips, Kaluka, till this this first point of the throat, Jihva Mula, that is called the internal part. External to this is not outside the face. That is inner than the internal part. Abhyantara is from this part to the tips of the lips. But which is outside this ambit is called Bahya Prayatna. What is it? The Bahya Prayatna is the voice box. So, Abhyantara Prayatna, Bahya Prayatna. So, why it happens like this means, once you want to utter a word or a syllable, you will properly deploy the organs in your mouth. If it is where it should be generated, what is the part that should be deployed to generate such a word? And the process is like this. The wind from your stomach, it is pumping up. It has traversed the several parts of your mouth, and again it has come back to the voice box. Here, at the final stage, you have got the swarasthanas, udatta, anudatta, swarita. After this, it again travels to the mouth or to your nostrils. This is the process. That means actually it is going one round and coming again. This is the abhyantara bahya prayatna. So, Indra deploys the vayu to generate such a sound. Words or speech is nothing but it's vayu. It's only the wind. Nothing. Other than this, nothing remains. So, Indra vayu hi sayujau. Sauryana Pushpilaka. There are several verses which prove this point of Indra and Vayu are together in giving it this thing. And finally, I should give the prayojana, because prayojana manudishka namandape pravartate. Without any substantial benefit, even a fool will not work. Why are you studying the Vyakarana? As we said, the structure is amply proved on which the entire language structure in the universe is based. That's fine. But is there any other specific benefit which we can expect of Vyakarana? For this, the Paspashanhika gives us the one verse, Rakshohagama Lagva Sandeha Prayojanam. I will very briefly point out as I have run out of time. Raksha, Uha, Agama, Laghu, Asandeha, Prayojanam. These are the 5 benefits which are listed by Patanjali. Raksha. Raksha is to protect your language. Protect your language, especially in the context of Vedic literature. You should protect it very well. That is the Raksha. And Uha is to derive more words. Derive more words and find out the derivatives. And you can also guess the root verb. For that, Patanjali gives us a very simple example. When you say, Agnaya Jushtan Nirvapami, Agni Shamabhyan Jushtan Nirvapami, and Agnaya Gagatraga Triburtarathantaraja is something. And if it has to be Dvivachana, you have to be Indra Agnibhyam, then it has to be the Dvivachana of it. If it is Bahuvachana, Marudbhyaha, Gruhamedhibhyaha, it has to be the plural. This is the Uha that can be made with the study of Vyakarana. Raksha Uha. Agama. Agama is the Vedic scriptural insistence that you should study Vyakarana. Because Ekashabdaha, Sushtu Prajuktaha, Samyagnataha, Swarge Loke, Kamadhuk Bhavati. A word excellently deployed with the very good meaning in mind that gives you the immense benefit. I don't call it Swarge Loke Kamadhuk. It does not mean that you are going to heaven directly after chanting a very good word. You are immediately leaving to your heavenly abode. We don't say that. Swarge Loke Kamadhuk Bhavati means Swarga is the one which gives you immense pleasure. That sort of pleasure is possible by the Samskrita Vak. Because Ramayana gives us a wonderful example. Kurtsanam Vyakaranam Nonam Anena Bahudha Shrutam Bahu Vyahartanena Nakinchi Dapashabditam Ucharagati Kalyanim Vacham Ucharagati Kalyanim Vacham Hridayaharinim. The none other than an accomplished Vyakarana scholar can use fine language. That language which has great samskara in it. Just the speech, if it falls into your ears, it gives you such an immense pleasure, and the person who is deploying such a fine speech, he is automatically elevated in your mind. Then what will result? In the result, you will be an exalted person in the society. So that is the Swarge Loke Kamadhuk Bhavati. That's what we attribute always. And Agama, Laghu, as I have already told you, that instead of chanting or reciting the entire vocabulary in the entire dictionaries, as our dictionaries do, none of our acharyas have done that. They give us the Katyayana Acharya, Vararuchi or Patanjali, they give us the system to how to emanate a meaning, how to find out the etymology and how to find out the meaning. That is the structure which is provided in the Vyakarana. So it will become very less cumbersome and very easy to derive. That is the straight shortcut to find out the meanings as well as derive new words. That is the Uha. Laghu. Asandeha. When there is a point of conflict or confusion, then you always have to come back to the Vyakarana, which will give you the meaning beyond doubt. The Yogika Artha will give you, but of course, there might be Rudhyarthas in many contexts, but the Yogika Artha will be very clear without any Sandeha. So, based on this structure, language structure, the Vyakarana is currently the system what we follow is derived by our revered sage Panini and amply supported by Vararuchi Katyayana Acharya and wonderfully I can say the entire system is based on the Patanjali's Mahabhashya commentary, and with this Trimuni Vyakarana, we are very rich in our culture, in our language, and in fact, I attribute the Vyakarana system, which is to be the topmost flagship of the entire Indian culture. Based on that, we are able to very proudly proclaim that we are the best in the world, at least in the language part as well as the philosophical part, because it can give you a number of meanings depending on the context. That framework and the structure is provided by the Vyakarana. And just a few more additions. We have got the Bhattoji Dikshita's Siddhanta Kaumudi, which is prevalent right now. Prior to that, there was Jayaditya Vamana's Kashika Vritti, which has any number of many Vyakhyanas to itself. Prior to the advent of Bhattoji Dikshita, Kashika was in vogue. It was being studied by all of them. I have studied the pattern of Bhattoji Dikshita, but I have switched to the Kashika method. And when we train young pupils, it is very advantageous, I found out. And there are many other Vakyapadiyam and Sphota Siddhanta. There are many other Arthagrahana part. There are Shabdika and Arthika. There are two aspects in the Vyakarana. What I have spoken till now is the Shabdika Prakarana, and there is the other aspect is the Arthika Prakarana, which is often delved by the Tarkikas as well as the other faculties such as Mimamsakas. They always look upon the factor of Arthika Prakarana, and with these many derivatives and robust system and robust structure, Vyakarana is supporting the entire Vedic literature, not only Vedic literature, the language structure of the entire India. With this to say, I take your leave. Thank you.
Namaskaram to everybody. We have listened to a wonderful lecture. The lecture of Sri Vamshi Krishna Ganapati. I may add one or two words by way of corroboration. Huyen Song, when he visited India, we all know that he is a Chinese traveler who visited India. He says, the children those days used to learn the Amarakosha and Ashtadhyayi by heart by the age of 10. Amarakosha consists of some 13,000 vocables, key vocables, and Ashtadhyayi consists of 4,000 sutras, which he says approximates to 1,000 shlokas, 1,000 verses. These two were learnt by heart by children of 10 years of age. Now, Amarakosha gives a wonderful base of a vocabulary of key words of varied fields. It's the first thesaurus, you should say. Of course, even the earlier thesaurus is the Aska's Nigantu itself. So, what a thesaurus does in modern times, that is done in a compact manner by the Amarakosha of Amarasimha. There is also a saying, Ashtadhyayi Jaganmata, Amarakosho Jagat Pita. Now he has given us a beautiful idea, Sri Vamshi Krishna Ganapati has given a beautiful idea of both the Shabdika and the Arthika aspects of the same, pointing out how this system is an extraordinary system of Panini's. Today, in the computer science, there is this particular branch called artificial intelligence, of which natural language understanding is a major portion, the other being vision and robotics and so on. But this is one of the major things, analysis of speech understanding and so on. Now, it is with thousands of engineers deployed for this purpose of analysis of language. In fact, if you look into the output of literature in terms of linguistics and computational linguistics in particular, the mass of literature runs to crores of pages. With all that, the best of engineers today, they have not been able to derive a system of grammar even for the English language, which can be as compact as Paulinese and as comprehensive as Paulinese. He's been able to combine both in one. And our speaker has brought out many aspects of these. He has shown how, acrobatics are possible. Once again, you can derive any word of any language from Sanskrit roots. It is possible. Technically, it's possible and it is defensible. Though we should not get into a fancy habit of trying to say that every word in every language is derived from Sanskrit. It is possible technically to derive any word from Sanskrit roots and Sanskrit suffixes and so on. It was Emino of the University of Berkeley who said India excels in two things, namely study of language and study of mind. Within a short span of time, he has given a glimpse of the greatness of the study of language in our country. You know that the West has made great strides in scientific achievements. But actually there is a division in science into hard sciences and soft sciences. Physics, chemistry, etc. they are hard sciences where results are easy to perceive, tangible. So in real time you can conduct experiments and find out and so on. However, two fields which are most subtle and most difficult to handle are language and mind. And it is in these two that India excelled. And our learned speaker today has brought out the excellences of Panini system. Half an hour, you could see him rushing with ideas. The ideas were gushing and it was very difficult for him to contain the wealth of information that he has. So he can give a lecture for months on this single topic. We are extremely thankful to you, sir, for your wonderful talk. Namaskar, sir.